So drawing 4, our first lesson is going to be based on figuring out what your artistic tastes are. And so we're going to create a set of slides based on an assignment we often do physically, so like making an actual work, and we're going to call it inspiration boards. So what's the function of an inspiration board? Here's some really great examples of ones that I found online. When you're looking at an inspiration board, notice that they're often have different kinds of objects, different kinds of imagery, and so look at all of those different components to try to figure out what could possibly be the function. Right. So often artists and designers use inspiration boards to synthesize their likes and loves. They will show their style, what they're attracted to, what kind of imagery and artworks that they're compelled to, kind of what their favorites are. You'll often notice color schemes or color choices. So like the example in the background, you notice that there's a lot of black and white. You'll see their influences, their inspiration. You might see practice, so practicing of skills, sketches, and you might also see reference imagery. So I know that you probably know what art you like. However, you probably want to expand yourself beyond just like deviant art or things you find on Instagram. So I've included a list of research ideas for you. You cannot just copy someone's artwork off of these image sites, but you can use them as your inspiration. So I've included a lot of probably the best known ones that are online. So like Google Art and Culture, a lot of visual journals that actually also come in paperback. So you can actually buy magazines from like High Fructose or This is Colossal or Juxtapose. But I also have some websites like Smart History, The Art Assignment, Art21 that has art historical figures as well as contemporary artists. And then we have a lot of other ones at the bottom too, things like Pinterest and Instagram that you're probably aware of. You also, of course, can look at inspiration that is more physical. So at home or going to the library, you can look at books, magazines, newspapers, and mailings. So online application. This is an option for this assignment. So what you would do is just create a slide that shows random artworks that you admire. When you're looking at artworks, you might want to focus on style, technique, concept, and composition. I would like you to have at least 4 artworks that you admire. You'll notice my example has more than 4, so feel free to add more if you like. And you also can create more than one slide for this. So you're going to label it. So notice that in my sample here, it says research random art number 1, and you'll see that there's just a list of random things. Feel free to include a hyperlink for each image so I can see where you got it. The next thing is going to take a little bit more time. And what I'd like you to do, and these can come from these random pieces, you're going to research 4 different artists. So here is an artist that I started finding this summer, and I actually purchased this one that you see that I enlarged, the biggest one here. I purchased a print of it this summer. And so I'd like you to make at least 1 slide per artist. So you're going to have a minimum of 4 for this, and you're going to want to include their name, right? So include their name, a website resource, right? Your 4 examples, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a description of their work. You can often get a description of work from an artist statement, their personal website, or you could just look at their artwork and describe their artwork. So for me, I put her work is based on human intimacy and touch. She uses organic patterns and linear elements to define the details. So I used my words to describe that one. I would like you to also research color schemes. Black and white would be included in this as well, but you want to research different colors that you're attracted to. And of course, you need to do at least one slide, but of course you're always able to do more than one. You can, for this color scheme sample, you can do it a number of different ways. I don't want you to think you have to do all of them. You just need to have 4, but you can do it in a variety of ways. One, you could just find artwork examples. So like this one right here of these oranges would be a good example of an artwork example. You could do color swatches. So right here, I said I like, complementary colors. And so when I did a search for that, I actually found a photo and a color swatch scheme to illustrate that. You could use a color generator. This is called Adobe Color. And so you can even use this link if you want to, and then you can find different color combinations by selecting these different tabs on the sides. There are other ones outside of this Adobe free one. And then you can also look at photos. So at home, I have kind of a collection of photos. So these 2 here are photos I took primarily because I love the colors that I saw at that moment of time, kind of capturing the light of the day. So here at dusk, I love that combination of the orange with kind of like the blue violet and the green. And then here, kind of that gold and yellows with the blues. I'm really attracted to warm and cool colors together. You can probably tell by looking at my samples. And then I'd like you to do at least 2 media researches. So for media, we're thinking about the supplies that you use to make your art. So here is an example of using ballpoint pen as your media. So on this page, you can include things like the tools. So I've got a picture of a ballpoint pen, the supplies you would need, samples, things like value scales that could be done with ballpoint pen or whatever media you choose, and then actual artwork samples of different kinds of techniques. You can also include video demonstrations using those supplies if that helps, as well as other hyperlinks if you have links that would be beneficial to you. And then lastly, I would like you to focus on techniques. So techniques would be how you would apply the media. So you want to have at least 2 slides of those techniques. And so here you can see on mine, I'm using the ballpoint pen like I illustrated in the media, and then I'm showing how to use it. So I've got those scales again, and then I've got sample artworks. These are actually samples of my own artwork, but you could use artwork of someone else. Feel free to always use your own artworks as kind of exemplars of skills and medias that you are interested in exploring. So here's my examples. So here's my random art, my artist. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You can see my color research, my media. So I should have 2 here. So actually, I'll go back here. So my media, I did the media and the technique together. So for a ballpoint pen. And then I did another media with watercolor and then did the techniques because I feel like they kind of pair together, okay? So you can do research completely remotely. If you want to make a physical or a handmade journal entry for this, you could also do this as well. And so I have a bunch of resources for you on how to do that, so you could explore these. And then you'd basically do the same thing where you would address all those different characteristics that we saw in the questions to make some physical artwork. So these are some examples of students' past works. Some of these are only parts of them because certain elements of them were stronger than others. So please start exploring. I'd start first with these resources to figure out what art you like and then you can move on to technique. I am always available to help you, and we can talk about your past artworks to figure out what your strengths are, because what we really want to do is play on our strengths.